Yeah. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. If you can hear my voice and see my face, give me a big thumbs up here on Zoom. Love to see you. And we're delighted you could join us. This is about the third time we've done Shabbat on Zoom. So hope it works out for everybody. Please, if it let us know how this goes. We've been experimenting with these things, getting ready for the High Holy Days, and it's really important that we hear back from you. If you've got if you've got words of praise, we don't know if this is working, so we love to hear about it. If you've got words of constructive criticism, we want to hear about that too. So feel free to get in touch with us during the week. We may do a little virtual oneg after the service, so stick around if you'd like to do that. If you're here on Zoom, wherever you're joining us from, Zoom, StreamSpot, Facebook, you are in the right place, and we are really, really lucky to have you here. So tonight we're going to celebrate Shabbat in song. And so even though everybody is muted so that, if a doorbell goes off, it doesn't startle me, we encourage you to sing out as if no one can hear you. Just sing your heart out, because this is still a singing community, and we love it when you share your voices with us. We know you're here with us. So sing out whether you know the tune or not, please sing with us. Also, there may be some times where I ask you to rise. If you're comfortable rising where you are, make sure the camera rises with you so we can still see your face. That would be nice too. And so with that, before we increase the sound in here, we're going to increase the light, as is our custom on Erev Shabbat. We increase the light that's in our homes, even as the sun is going down. So Cantor Ruth in just a moment is going to say the blessings and light the Shabbat lights. If you've been holding on to your candles, waiting to light with us, now is a good time to bring those out. And so we're going to switch it over to Cantor Ruth in the Galpert Sanctuary to light the Shabbat lights.
If you're lighting your Shabbat candles, let's take a deep breath and light them together, letting go of this week, this long week with a lot of smoke and fire. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Now we're going to begin the Kabbalah Shabbat service. This was a service that was put together for us by sages of our tradition several hundred years ago, and they thought it's not enough just to go right into our regular evening prayers on Shabbat. We need to ascend a ladder out of the week into the holy space that is Shabbat. And so they arranged some psalms for us to help us do that, and a great song, Lecha Dodi. We're going to start with the first rung on the ladder, Lechuni Ranana, on page 15. Page 15, we are davening together out of this book, page 15.
לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור אישנו, נקדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות, נריע לו כי על גדול אדוני ומלך אדוני הכל אלוהים אשר בדמות. ארבעים שנה אקוט לדור ואומר עם טועי לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי ואפי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
Page 16. 16.
שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו וכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד. נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, יאיר עלי רי, עלי עלי רי, היי עלי רי, היי עלי רי, עלי עלי עלי, היי עלי רי, עלי עלי רי, היי עלי רי, עלי 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 רי, יאיר רי, עלי ya la 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 lo ay 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 ay
We continue with the next psalm on page 17. Page 17.
אדוני מלאך תגל הארץ, ישמחו עם רבים.
God's throne is founded on justice. Through God, be clouded from view. Divine justice reveals God's presence.
שמעה ותשמח ציון ותדעו אוהבי אדוני סינורש ורזרו על הצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה שמחו צדיקים באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו שירו לאדוני שיר חדש.
Page 18, we sing to God a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's might has been triumphant, revealing supreme power to all.
לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים, אדוני מלך ירגזו עמים, יושב קרובים.
Page 18. God responds to us with compassion, even as God rebukes us for our offenses. We extol God, we lift God's name up. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, וישתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
Page 20, we have a bridge between the Psalms and Lecha Dodi. Ana b'koach, we call on God. Ana means please, and b'koach means with strength the strength that God has always shown us and cared for us. We call on that strength now to untie our knots, to cleanse us, and to hear our song.
Let's join together at the bottom of page 20. Ana בכוח, גדולת ימינך, תתיר את צרורה, קבל רינת, עמך סגבנו, טהרנו נורא. בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר את צרורה, קבל רינת עמך סגבנו טהרנו נורא. נגיבור דורשי חותך כבבת שמרם, ברכם צרם, רחמם צדקתך תמיד גמלם. חסיני קדוש ברוב תוכה, נאה עדתך. יחיד גאה למענך פנה, זוכרי קדושתך. שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו, יודע תעלומות ענה בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר את צרורה, קבל רינת עמך סגבנו, טהרנו נורא, טהרנו נורא.
We now turn to page 21. We're going to sing together Lacha Dodi, which means come, my beloved. This is the intention with which we welcome Shabbat into our homes and into our hearts. We speak of Shabbat here as a bride or as a queen, as an honored guest. And just one thing, I'll tell you a quick story that makes this real for me, and I think about it whenever we sing it. The last part, the way we sing it, the last couple of verses, some people have said it sounds a little bit like a country tune. It's not just because I'm here. This part was written by a teacher of mine. The melody was written by a teacher of mine, Joey Weissenberg, who was one summer reading the biography of Abraham Lincoln. I believe it was Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, Team of Rivals, and read about this scene where Abraham Lincoln was walking amongst the troops and there was a receiving line for him, but if you can imagine a field of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people, and when their commander-in-chief was walking amongst them after this trying battle, and if this week hasn't been a trying battle, I don't know what has been, when their honored guest walked through them, they split apart, miles and miles of them splitting this way and that, yamin usmol, to the left and to the right. And so Jews, the 20 million or so of us who are receiving Shabbat this week, rise, and with that same intention, that same welcome of an honored guest, whatever we have been through, we recognize the presence of Shabbat and we part to make way for it. And that's how I think of it when we welcome Shabbat. We're all of us together welcoming this honored guest as one at once in Lacha Dodi, page 21.
לך דודי לקראת קלה, יר עלי, יר עלי, יר עלי, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יר עלי, יר עלי, יר עלי, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יר עלי, יר עלי, יר עלי, פני שבת נקבלה, מקדש ולך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לשבת ועמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קורבה אל נפשי גאלה, אוי לך דוד לקראת קל, יר עלי, יר עלי, יר עלי, פני שבת נקבלה, אוי לך דודי לקראת קל, יר עלי, יר עלי, יר עלי, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. אוי לך תודי לקראתך, ירלה ירלה ירלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך תודי לקראתך, ירלה ירלה ירלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, ומה תשתוכחי ומה תמי, בך יחסו אני הימי ונבנתה. ירלתי לה והיו לי בשיסה, שעשייך ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמסוס חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי. על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please rise.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
You turn the page to page 23 for a special psalm just for Shabbat. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, page 23. If you're standing, you may be seated.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Let's join together. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון וכינור מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך ולזמר לשמך עליון כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך במעשה ידיך במעשה ידיך ארנן מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מעולם ומחשבותיך מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מעולם ומחשבותיך אלי 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 Ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la la מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. If you're just joining us, welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. Wherever you're coming from, whether it's Zoom or StreamSpot, or Facebook or YouTube, or you're just parked across the street listening to us, you're in the right place, and we're really glad that you are here. I want to share a few brief words of Torah before we go on with our evening prayers. So if you'll buckle up, I'm going to share one of my favorite stories from the Talmud, my third favorite passage from the Torah. But first, I need to give a bit of a warning. If there are any young people watching, God willing, we have young people watching. If there are any young people or people who are particularly sensitive, the following story may include cuddling. So there is a story from the Talmud about Rav, which means the master or professor, and his student Rav Kahana. And Rav Kahana was doing a little extra credit, let's say. He was trying to understand how his teacher lived. And so he was in his teacher's house, and he was, when he thought the teacher was away, he was in his teacher's house. He was going through the cupboard to, see what kind of textures he had on his food. And he even went into the bathroom to see whether he had the toilet roll facing in or out as it went over the top. And then he hears a noise. He hears Rav and Mrs. Rav coming up the step. And so he panics. He runs into the bedroom and he hides under the bed. And his teeth are chattering, but he's like, wow, I don't hope they don't catch me, but I think I'm really going to learn a lot by hearing how my teacher and my teacher's partner converse with one another. So he hides under the bed. He's going to wait till everybody's asleep before he sneaks out. But after a brief dinner and some blessings and some singing, he hears these footsteps come into the room, and Rav and Rav's partner are sitting on the edge of the bed, and they're talking about what happened in their day. And Kahana is still under the bed, learns so much from them, how they conduct their lives, how they speak to each other with kindness and dignity and humor. And then the shoes come off, and he sees pairs of shoes on the next to the bed, and people the feet come up and they're lying in the bed. And so he's a little bit squished. I'm not going to lie to you. Rob was a big man, so he's a little bit squished, but he hopes that he's not lumpy under the mattress and he can feel. So he's holding his breath, and he feels this nudge as two forms move closer together. They're talking, they're laughing, they're calling each other by friendly names, and then they scoonch and they scoonch, and just when they're about to cuddle, Kana can't take it anymore. He screams out. He's been trying to hold his breath. And of course, Rob and Mrs. Rob are startled. They jump up and they look under the bed. And the teacher says to a student, Kahana, what are you doing under the bed? And Kahana says, this too is Torah, and I must learn it. And like I said, this is one of my favorite stories, just of the realia of it. Also the sense that Torah isn't just something that we do at shul. It isn't just something that we do when we're trying to be perfect, when we're paying our taxes, when we're being good citizens, when we're giving to the poor. Torah is something that pervades our entire lives, our entire real human, messy, joyful, devastatingly sad, and as often as possible, intimate lives. It's not for saints. It's not for celibates. It's for us. As maybe as Rabbi Yitz Greenberg would say, Torah isn't there to make you a better Jew. Torah is there to make you more human, more fully human. And this reminds me of, as I said, my third favorite passage of Torah. I'm ranking them now. My first, of course, being don't oppress the stranger, because you know what that's like, because you've been strangers in the land of Egypt. My second is the part about all of us being created in the divine image and everything that entails. My third favorite passage of Torah comes from Nitzavim, Parshat Nitzavim, this week's Parsha. It's in chapter 30, verses 11 through 14. And I've shared some of this with my students in the ALIL app, so if you've already heard this one, bear with me. The punchline is different. Surely, Moses is saying to the people, surely this instruction which I enjoin upon you this day is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond your reach. It is not in the heavens that you should say, who among us can go up to the heavens and get it down for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who among us can cross to the other side of the sea and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it. No, this thing is very close to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart to observe it. Again, the Torah was not given to celibates. It was not given to saints. It was not given to us to delegate to sea captains and skydivers to bring it down to us. Now, look, I teach Torah for a living, and I love being able to learn with people. But as much Torah as you may learn from me, if I'm lucky, I can't wait to learn your Torah. Because the Torah isn't something that's supposed to be distant from you. It's already in your heart. And it's not to be relegated as something that is in a language that you don't have access to. Sometimes it takes learning, sometimes it takes translation, but there was once a upstart student at JTS, not me, I went to a different school, but there was an upstart student at JTS who went to a professor who was known to be a scholar of the Yiddish language. And he said, please, professor, will you teach me Yiddish? And the professor just shook his head and said, there's no teaching Yiddish. There's no learning Yiddish. When a Jew opens his mouth or her mouth, whatever falls out, that's Yiddish. Likewise, I believe that when a Jew speaks, when a person who's dedicated to the Jewish community, maybe they're just curious, but if they're curious and committed, whether it's their birthright or not yet their birthright, when you speak from a place of empathy for the stranger, when you speak from a place of recognizing the divine image in everyone, whatever comes out of your mouth is Torah. Now, I know not everything that comes out of my mouth is Torah. Not everything that I've ever said or done just because I'm Jewish is worthy of emulation. However, I do believe when I'm at my best, what I'm doing is not just my best, but it's also teaching Torah. And I believe that whatever you do, when you are doing your best and you're coming from the right intention, you're coming from the right place, you too are teaching us something that we should all stand back and say, this too is Torah, and I must learn it. So my encouragement to you as we enter the Shabbat, as we cast off this week of fire and smoke and a sky that's frankly been scaring me. I hope everybody is safe. If you're not, let us know. Our temple, the Federation, we're putting resources together to help you reach out. But as you approach the week to come, and as you approach these high holy days, I bless you that you learn, but I encourage you to speak. I encourage you to open your mouth. I encourage you to open your heart, because this too is Torah, and I hope that we can all learn it. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you for joining us at PJTC. We're going to continue our service with the evening prayer, starting with our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, which is on page 98. Page 98, if you will, please rise.
We're actually on page 28, and
28,
as we continue getting ready for the high holidays, you will hear a little bit of the nusach, a little bit of the melody coming right at. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Leolam Asher Bivaro Maragim Baravim.
הוא מעביר יום ומביא לילה, הוא מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
המעריב ערבים.
Amen. If you're standing, you may be seated as we continue with a blessing of the constancy of God's love on page 29, Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו ושוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, נהגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue with the second passage of the Shema at your own pace, and we'll get back together in just a moment. Let's continue together at the top of page 31. Page 31. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, Daber el bnei Yisrael, ve'amarta lehem, v'asu lehem tzitzit, al kanfei bigdehem l'dorotam, v'nanu al tzitzit hakanaf b'til techelet, v'haya lachem letzitzit uritem oto, uschartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam, ve'lo taturu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem asher atem zonim acharechem, leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kadoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher chotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim להיות לכם אלוהים אני.
אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם, amen. On page 32, we continue with this blessing before we move on to the Amidah. In the middle of the page, you'll notice if you're following along in the Siddur, there's some bold. That means that you join in too. This is like a little bit like karaoke, where you're singing along with Cantor Ruth. But what always strikes me about this is that as we're about to bless God for God's redemptive nature, we always go back to that original moment of redemption, rescuing us from slavery in Egypt, and the song that we sang with joy. And we didn't just sing about us and how happy we were to be free, but we said, Mi chamocha, who is like our God? And so in a moment, we'll join together for Mi chamocha and conclude the blessing for God's redemptive nature. Page 32.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא, תהילות אוסף אלף, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקר היום לפני משה ומרים וכולם זילי ענו ואמרו זילי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Together. Yalla lai rai rai rai. Yay lai lai la 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 lai. Yay lai lai lai. Yay rai 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 rai. Yay rai rai rai. Yay lai 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 rai. Yay lai lai. Yalla lai rai. ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. We continue on page 33. We say, help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again to life. Hashki Benu on page 33.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום העמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום העמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ואוהנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו לשלום והעמידנו לחיים. שלום שלום. Shalom, 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 shalom. Baruch atah Adonai,
Shalom.
הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
Amen. We continue on page 34, page 34.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. אוי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Just a moment, Cantor Ruth is going to chant the Chatzi Kaddish. This is a transition in our service from a, let's say, communal sense of prayer to private and personal prayer. We say the blessings around the Shema, and we say the Shema itself as one people. And then after the Chatzi Kaddish, we go into the silent or the private Amidah for Shabbat evening. And that's a place where you can lean on the words of the tradition. They are strong, they will hold you up. But if you have other words in your heart to say, whatever your prayer is, whoever you're praying for, you can say whatever words you like. We're going to say the Chatzi Kaddish, and then if you want to use the traditional words, they're on page 35b. And then whenever you're done praying, you may be seated, but please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish and the Amidah and your own prayer. We're starting on page 34.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא דברך חירותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Ulalmei Almaya Yitbarach.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה
Rihu.
לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ועלמה וימרו.
Amen. Please rise, page 35b. We'll get back together in just a little bit.
כי הוא לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. ועל כל ישראל amen.
We conclude this part of the service with the Kaddish Shalem on page 48, page 48.
Page 48. יתקנל ויתקנה שמר רבה
Amen.
בעלמא דברך מלכותה וחי יכונו ומכונו וחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב וימרו
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach.
המבורך לעולם ולעולם יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי נקודשה
Brihu.
לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמא ויאמרו
Amen.
תתקבל צלות הלוות לכל ישראל קודם אבוהון דבשמיא ויאמרו
Amen.
יהא שלמה משמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו
Amen. We now begin to end the service with Aleinu on page 51. Page 51, Aleinu, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל עמונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שנוטה שמיים. על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו דעות מרב תפארת עוזך עליה וגלוי מן הארץ. כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמי תמלוך בכבוד ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. This is a time in our service where we remember those who are no longer with us. In the coming week, we are marking the yahrzeit, and that is the anniversary of the passing of Anita Moldoff, Daisy Press Nemzer, Don Kerman, Dorothy Gross, Ethel Bortnick, Hinda Simmons, Hyman Brecker, Jerome Howard, Joseph Spiegel, Judah Fox, Kimberly Beth Orlin, Leo Klein, Lillian Gould Ledeen, Louis Silverberg, Louis Graff, Nathan Kaczynski, Norma Goldberg Kaplan, Pauline Maniloff, Peter Nortman, Sharon Konakowitz, Sophie Rees Newman, Tessie Phillips, and Victor Teplitz. If there's another name that you would like to lift up in honor at this time, please hold their name in your heart or say their name out loud wherever you are. And please, if you are in mourning or observing a yahrzeit, join us for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 52, page 52. Let's say it together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ba'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. If you're standing, you may be seated, and for all of us, it's time for a few brief but meaningful announcements. Thank you to everybody who helped make this service possible this week and every week. It's a delight to learn and to pray and to sing with you every single week. Or if you're new, it's delightful to learn with you this week, and I hope we see you again soon. We've got a few special events going on this week. We have some Elul discussions that are continuing through Thursday, because Friday it's Erev Rosh Hashanah. That's a thing that's happening in the coming week as well. You'll hear more about that in a second. You should know that this Sunday, that is tomorrow, we do have, on Sunday the 13th, we have at 9:30 a.m., the Social Justice Committee is hosting a program, Schools and Communities First, Prop 15, discussion of that ballot initiative hosted by Social Justice at 9:30 a.m. At 5 p.m., we have a Fight for Climate Justice presented by the Interfaith Study Group. On this Thursday, the 17th at 7:30 p.m., we have a PJTC social hall. These are things that we do every week to get people together on Thursday evenings. But this week especially is very important. We have Judy and Phil Callahan, past PJTC presidents. Join them as they help you plan to get the most out of this year's high holiday experience. The brochure you received outlines all of the activities. The Callahans are going to expand on some of the sessions and help walk you through the various platforms and tech requirements and technologies. It's a great way, if you're not used to connecting with us through technological means, to have a little workshop there on Thursday night to make sure that you are all tuned in and tuned up and ready to connect with us as Erev Rosh Hashanah begins Friday night. That's 1 week from this very instant, September 18th, 7:30 p.m. And all the services and links and things will be emailed out on Tuesday morning to everyone who has registered for the high holidays. I'm saying this slowly because it's important. If you would like to join us for the high holy days this year, and this year Everyone is welcome, whether you're a member or not, wherever you're coming from, everybody's welcome to join us. But it's important that you register for services, because when you do, we're going to know to email you all of the links to everything, including not just services, but all sorts of resources, a DIY Tashlich resource, place to pick up a Machzor, a High Holidays prayer book if you need to. All this stuff goes to people who RSVP. So please register, go to our website. It'll take you right to it. Very important. We also have a number of regular things that are going on. We have a meditation group that's tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon rather, after our Shabbat service at 12:45 p.m. We have our Tuesday and Wednesday morning meditation classes and a exploring your life through Torah every Thursday at 10 o'clock. This Thursday, I'll be on on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook on Thursday at 3 p.m. We have a sing-along Shabbat on Friday morning. All this great stuff that's happening is in your weekly e-blast. So please read your emails, find the links to get connected. Let us know if you're having any trouble finding anybody or any links or things like that. But most importantly, stay home, stay safe, stay connected. And finally, I'm going to ask you to join us as we end the way we began, and that is in song. And if you're singing with us, and I hope you are, it sounds better if you stand up. So stand up and sing with us as we sing our way out, and then stick around for Kiddush. And after Kiddush, if you're on Zoom, stick around for a little oneg, a little virtual oneg. So hang out with us. Let us know how this service worked for you, and we're delighted to continue celebrating Shabbat with you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Let's join together. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. שלום עלינו ועל כל העולם, סלם שלום. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. One more time. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Stick around as we make ready for Kiddush. And if you've been holding on to your own wine and bread to join us, please bring it out now. We can all do this together. I'm going to go get a washing stand.
So let's join together. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Together, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת עם כל עמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים.
Amen. L'chaim. All right, if you want to join me in hand washing, you can bring your own labor, or you can just say amen after I wash my hands right here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Amen. And last but not least, challah. Get your own challah or share a challah or imagine a challah. I'm ready to share ours. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avot.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you for joining us at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, I'm about to end the live stream. If you're here with us on Zoom, if you like, stick around, because once I shut off the live streaming, we're still going to be in Zoom together. I'll unmute everybody and we can kibitz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.